Hello, in this video I'm gonna show you the first things that you can do on Motorola Edge 50 Pro in order to set it up properly after the initial setup. The first thing that we can do is check for software updates. Now, of course, when you set it up for the first time, the software should automatically try to be updated, so you might not really need to do that, but it is always recommended to manually check if there is actually any update. So what you need to do is simply go to the settings, then you want to scroll down, and then over here you will find system updates. So let's tap here, then press the check for updates button, and then we need to wait a couple of seconds in order to see if everything is up to date. If it is, then you will see this information and you can press got it. Otherwise, you should be able to download and install the update. Another thing that we need to do when we start using the smartphone, we need to go to security and privacy settings. So let's get back to the settings, and we need to find security and privacy, which should be somewhere over here. Let's go. And now here you should make sure that at least most of these settings over here are checked. So make sure to go through the app security, make sure to go through the device unlock where you can set up the screen lock, you can add your fingerprint, and you can eventually also use the face unlock feature. You can also check the account security over here. You can also go to device finders in order to, if you are interested about this, you can also enable the find my device option. And of course, once again, we have the system and updates. So this is where we have just been. And we also have some privacy options here and there, so you can go through them and make sure that everything is actually set as you wish it to be. You can also go to more security and privacy to find even more options, like for instance, you can enable the secure folder. You can also enable the phishing detection. You can go to the security scan, and so on and so forth. Next thing is the lock screen privacy. So in the settings menu, we need to go to home and lock screen, and then go to lock screen. And then over here we have privacy for notifications. So if you don't want to see your sensitive information to be seen on the lock screen, you can enable, for instance, show sensitive content only when unlocked, so that when you have the lock screen enabled and there is some sensitive content, it will not be displayed in the lock screen. Or you can just not show notifications at all. So it's up to you. Personally, I always use this second option over here, where the sensitive content is not visible in the lock screen. Another thing that you want to do is go to battery settings. So find battery and then go there. Especially on this smartphone, there are some options that are worth checking out and eventually enabling. For instance, one of the basics is the battery saver, which we can enable, and we can set up a schedule when we want to have it. So we can, for instance, set it based on a percentage. So when we reach the 40% battery, then the battery saver should be enabled. And we can also set to turn off the battery saver when we charge our battery and the battery reaches 90%. Okay, and after that, of course, this is just one setting related to the battery. In addition to that, we also have adaptive battery, which can be enabled, to limit battery for apps that you don't use often. We also have the charge boost, which is a pretty good feature related to charging the smartphone. However, this one is really optional, and what it does is when the charge boost is on, your smartphone will optimize charging by safely boosting charging speed. However, as a con, the process may heat up your device. So if you don't want to maybe not overheat, because it shouldn't really overheat your device, but it will definitely heat it up. If you want to avoid it, then of course you shouldn't use the charge boost. But if you care about the optimized charging, then you can enable this feature. You also have improved battery while inactive, and we also have the optimized charging, where we can allow the device to charge more efficiently to keep your battery healthy. We can also read some information about this feature, and we can press the see how it works button in order to read more. We also have the overcharge protection when you tend to have your device plugged into the charger pretty much all the time, then over here you might need to enable this option, this overcharge protection. And I think these are all features from the battery setting. And of course we also have, for instance, the battery percentage. So if you want to see the battery percentage in the top right corner, then you can do that over here. Another thing is the personalize options. So at the top of the settings, we can find personalize over here. And this is a pretty cool place where you can do nearly everything in terms of the visual personalization of your smartphone. You can change the wallpaper, you can change the whole theme, you can of course also set up your own theme, you can change the font, you can change the colors, you can change the icon shape, you can adjust the lock screen, you can adjust the display size and the text size, we can change the home screen layout, we can set up the fingerprint animation, and we can adjust the sounds. Pretty much everything is over here. We have the dark mode, we have the edge light settings, and so on and so forth. So if you want to personalize your smartphone, this is definitely the place that you want to check out. And another thing that I want to show you is in the display settings. So let's go over here. And here we can enable or disable the adaptive brightness. If you prefer to have the brightness level always at the same value, then you might want to disable adaptive brightness. On the other hand, if you prefer to have it, then of course you can do that here. At the same time, we can also turn on the dark theme right below. We can adjust the colors. We have the display refresh rate where we can set up the constant 144 Hz refresh rate, or lower if you want to, or set it to auto to let the device decide when it's the best moment to use specific refresh rate. And also we have the auto rotate screen and so on and so forth. So you can also go through these settings one by one to make sure that these settings are up to your needs. And another thing also in settings is the gestures. Over here you can change the navigation mode. So if you did the initial setup and for instance you set up the 3-button navigation, let's say by accident, and you prefer to actually use the gesture navigation, then you can set it over here, or of course the other way around. We also have for instance the sidebar, which is a pretty cool feature, I suppose, where you have access to apps pretty much all the time by using the sidebar. We have some gestures that we can use, for instance the swipe to split, we have 3-finger screenshot, all of which is of course presented on the display as well. I mean, how we can use it. We have some key shortcuts that we can adjust, and we have for instance also the flashlight gesture, which is also pretty cool, and so on and so forth. And next up is the NFC and Google Wallet. So Motorola Edge 50 Pro has NFC, of course, so we can set up the NFC. We can enable it in order to be able to pay with our smartphone. So essentially, if you start using a smartphone, you want to add your credit or debit card to Google Wallet and enable NFC. So in order to enable NFC, in the settings, we want to go to connected devices. So let's go over here. And then we want to go to connection preferences, NFC, and over here you can enable the NFC feature. In addition to that, keep in mind that you also have the quick access by swiping from the top to the bottom. If you do that twice, then you will open these buttons, and here you have quick access to a bunch of different things, and this should also include NFC somewhere, which I have over here. If it is missing, then you can press on this pen icon, and then here you can manage these tiles. You can hold and drag them to add them to the quick access over here. Once you set up the NFC, once you enable it, then you can find the Google Wallet app. So it should be somewhere over here. Here we have the wallet, and you need to simply go through the instructions that will be displayed. Over here you have the Add to Wallet button. You can press on it, and then you have options like the payment card, transit pass, and so on and so forth. So let's say you want to add the payment card, and then you can set it up over here. And also, instead of taking the picture, you can also enter details manually by pressing this button at the bottom of the screen. And here you can now add the card number and so on and so forth. So set up your credit or debit card in order to be able to pay with your smartphone. And this is pretty much it. This is everything you need to do as the first thing. on Motorola Edge 50 Pro, and after that, of course, you can just enjoy using your smartphone. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and see you in my next videos. Bye.